One of my favorite yoga teachers who does really great yin sessions is Cassandra Reinhardt, and she has this book, Yin Yoga. So we're going to be doing one of her sequences today with a few modifications. So yeah, Yin Yoga, for just a quick recap, is supposed to be slow, more cooling on the body, more relaxing, and we're meant to hold the poses for longer than you would in a normal hatha yoga class. So we hold the poses for about 3 to 5 minutes each, and in each pose it'll be a pretty deep opening, but the goal is to try to let your body relax into that position so that you can go deeper into the muscles and into your connective tissue and really allow yourself to open and release. So with that being said, let's start in a comfortable seated position in the middle of our mat. And we're just going to start today with a little breathing exercise that you can come back to whenever you're in one of these yin positions to help you recenter and come back to the mat, and especially if your mind tends to wander. So this is called a 3-part breath. And I'd like you to start by putting one hand on your chest and another hand on your belly. And we're going to start by inhaling our breath into our belly, then into our lungs, and finally into our chest. And then on the exhale, we'll release the air from the chest, the ribs, and then the belly. So if you're thinking about your breath and you can focus on where it goes on each inhale and exhale, you'll actually be able to feel your hands inflating and then deflating with each inhale and exhale. So let's do that again. Deep inhale into the belly, ribs, and chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. And when you take an inhale, try to inhale through your nose, and you can exhale through your nose or through your mouth. So let's do that again. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. And I'd like to invite you to do that a few times with your own breath and your own rhythm. And feel free to close your eyes here and just start to come inward and check in with how your body's feeling today. Let's take one more round. Inhale into your belly, your ribs, and your chest. And slowly exhale your chest, ribs, and belly. So from here, we're going to come into a reclined position on our backs. And you can ground both feet on the mat to start. And I'd like you to tuck your shoulder blades down, bring the shoulders away from the ears. And then extend your left leg out long and hug your right knee into your chest. This is called the wind relieving pose. And we're going to start here by just doing some gentle circles with the right leg. So giving some movement, gentle movement to that hip socket. You can make these circles as large or as small as you'd like. And then go the other direction. Again, just doing what feels good on your body and just gently warming up the right hip here. Okay, and then come back into stillness. And we're just going to hold the leg and hold the knee into the chest for a few minutes here. And while you're in this position, I'd like you to do a body scan, gently bringing your awareness from your head to your toes, and just taking note of any areas that you feel maybe really tense or sore, or places where you might be holding on to tension that you don't even realize. And just take note of those areas, and we'll come back to that later in class. And again, anytime your mind starts to wander, or maybe your mind is racing, you can always come back to your breath. And also you can come back to that 3-part breath. Okay, let's switch to the other side now. So bring your right leg out long and then take your left knee in towards your chest. And we're just going to start with those circles again. So circling the knee around slowly, just gently lubricating that hip socket. And remembering to breathe here. And then we'll take that in the other direction, going both ways. Just evening out the circles that you did. And then when you're ready, come back to center. Again, check in with your shoulders. If they've inched up closer towards your ears, gently pull them down and tuck your shoulder blades in towards one another. And we'll hold for this side for another couple of minutes. You can leave your right leg totally relaxed on the mat. And let your right foot hang out to the side. You can relax your left foot as well. No need to flex or point your toes. And maybe on this side of the body, you feel different aches and pains or different tension points. And that's completely normal. Just make note of those. without judgment. Just checking in with your body and seeing where you're at tonight. On your next exhale, let your legs come both down to the mat, out long in front of you. And from here, we're going to transition into our hands and knees. So let's roll over to one side and just press up into a seated position. And then from the seated position, grab both of your blocks and put one on either side of your mat so you have easy access to them. And then we're going to come into a tabletop position with our hips on top of our knees, our shoulders on top of our wrists. And then from here, I'd like you to bring your right leg towards the front of your mat and plant your foot in between your hands. From here, you can grab both of your blocks and use them as a little bit of support so you can hold your upper body up a little bit easier. And then here, you can just adjust so this feels a little bit more comfortable. So we're in a low lunge position. If you need to move your left knee back a little bit or just your top foot, you can feel free to do that. So this is called a baby dragon position in yin yoga. And you can use the blocks, continue to use the blocks if you would like to keep your chest lifted, or you can use any settings of the blocks, or you can just come down with both of your hands on the floor. So it's up to you, but in this position, I would like you to keep your chest a little bit lifted instead of rounding over and coming down like this. So lifting in your chest, using the support of the blocks if you'd like. And from here, we're going to stay in this baby dragon on the right side for 5 minutes. So come into a position that you feel like you can stay for an extended period of time. And encourage your body to begin relaxing. This is a great position to open up the front of the left leg. The psoas muscle runs from your lower back area through the front of your leg, and that can often hold a lot of tension. And so this is a great pose to release that muscle that can sometimes cause our lower back to feel a little bit tense or a little bit painful. And keep in mind that your right knee should stay on top of your right ankle. So there's a straight line from your knee down to your ankle. The breath is a really powerful tool in yoga. It can help us bring our focus to certain areas of the body. And it can also help us release deeper into positions. So I would like to invite you on each inhale to send your breath to the area of the body in this position where you feel a lot of tension. And on every exhale, with the suggestion of your mind, ask your body to relax deeper. And you'll notice that the deeper you breathe, and the more that you focus on the breath and letting go, the deeper you'll be able to come into these yin positions. You're doing a great job. We just have a few more seconds left here. Let's take one more deep inhale and exhale. And from here, let's push back, keeping the feet and the knees in the same position. And we're going to come into a half monkey position. So extending your right leg, walking your hands back with the blocks underneath. And from here, you can flex your right foot and extend your front leg any amount. And think about leveling and squaring off your hips so that if there were two street lights or two, what's the word I'm looking for? Two flashlights in the front of your hips, they would both be pointing straight forward like car headlights. And we'll just stay here for maybe 30 seconds, just as a nice counter posture to that last pose. Okay, let's come back to our all fours position. And you can wiggle it out here if you need a little bit of release. And then we're going to go to the other side, still doing baby dragon position. So place your blocks again where you can grab them. Ground your hands on the floor. And this time we'll take our left leg up towards the front of the mat. Our knee tracking over our ankle. And choose whichever height of blocks you would like, either tall, middle, or low, or no blocks. And then we'll settle into this position on the other side for another 5 minutes. You might even find that as you continue to encourage your body and your muscles to release, then you might start on a taller block height and maybe a couple of minutes in, the medium or the lower height might feel better. So you can feel free to play around with that and see what suits your body in this moment. You're doing a really great job. 5 minutes is a long time in one pose. We've just got a few more seconds left here. So really come back to your breath. Notice the inhales and the exhales. Just like Rico, he let out a big sigh just now. And from here, let's take our blocks to the highest setting and press back into half monkey or half split pose. So your front leg will be straight or close to straight with your left toes flexing up towards your face and your hips square towards the front of your mat. And I'd like you to keep your lower back nice and long here. So try not to arch or crunch into your lower back. Just a nice neutral spine. Then we'll just stay in this position for a little bit to give us a counter to the baby dragon pose. All right, from here, I'd like you to transition onto your knees. And then we're actually going to come to standing. And the next pose that we're going to do is called dangling. So you don't need any props for this. You can move your blocks towards the side of your mat. And I'll just stand sort of like this so you can see better. But basically what we're going to do is bend our knees, parallel our feet, can be about hip distance apart. And we're just going to start folding, generously bending into the knees and supporting our bellies on our thighs here. And then let your head go Bend your knees as much as you'd like so that you can really rest your chest on your legs, rest your belly on your legs. And then you can just fold both elbows and let your head dangle. Hence the name dangling. It's really important here that you have some support for your back and your tummy. So if you feel like maybe you're bending over and you're bending your knees, but your tummy is not on your legs, then I'd like to ask you to get a pillow or blanket and just put that on top of your legs so that you can come over and really have a lot of support there. You can bend your knees more too. You can get a pillow. There you go, yeah. And we're going to stay in this dangling position for another 5 minutes as well. And something really nice here, you can shake out your head, yes and no. You may hear a few cracks or your neck releasing. And that can feel really nice. Just let your head be heavy. And let your shoulders and your arms be heavy and let gravity pull them towards the back. If you want, you can just do a child's pose too.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, if this is really challenging for anyone, just feel free to come to a child's pose. And in child's pose, you can put that pillow between your butt and your heels. So you can have a nice comfortable seat. So in this position, as you'll notice, the legs do have to do some work. So yin yoga is not quite as relaxing or as cooling as restorative. And I would love to teach a restorative class online. However, it does require a lot of props. So it is much easier to teach in person in a studio where you have access to all those props. And if you do get tired here, you do want to come down to a child's pose, that is always an option. From here, if you're in a child's pose, start to make your way back to standing. And if you're entangling, slowly start to roll yourself very slowly and gently with your head coming up last into a standing position. So we're going to move into a position called squat or yogic squat. So I'd like you to have one block handy. And if you know Malasana and you're ready to go right into it, you're welcome to do that. But I would like to show you another version. So for Malasana or yogic squat, we'll have our feet a little bit wider than hip distance and our toes slightly pointing out to the sides, maybe 45 degrees, maybe a little less than that. And then from here, with that block handy, I'd like you to just come down as far as you can into a squat. You can use that block as a little seat, however that feels comfortable for you. And if you do know that you have your full Malasana, which is a pretty deep hip opener, you can come right down into that. And from here, I'd like you to put your hands in prayer. And you can use your hands to gently press into your knees and open up your hips a little bit more. So this squat position, you also want to work on lifting your chest and discouraging yourself from rounding over, always lifting your chest, usually in yoga. And we'll stay here again for another 5 minutes. I'd like to share a short quotation with you that Cassandra has in her book by Eckhart Tolle. The only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step that you are taking at this moment. I think it's a nice reminder to stay in the present, especially for us anxious girlies. Right now is the only moment that's real and the only moment that matters. Take one more deep breath into this pose and exhale. You can remove that block that you're sitting on and just come into a seated position on your mat. We're going to transition onto our backs again into a reclined child's pose this time. So instead of one leg in towards your chest, you can grab both legs. And first, we can just start by adding some movement here. It might feel nice to rock back and forth and give yourself a little lower back massage. If you'd like, you can also do some circles with your knees again, either individually or together. Just if you do choose to do circles, please remember to go in the other direction as well. And when you're ready, we'll come into stillness here in child's pose, a reclined child's pose this time, hugging our knees into our chest. Relaxing your shoulders down to the mat. And only using the muscles necessary to keep yourself in this position. And then inviting the rest of your body to completely relax. That includes your mind as well. Sometimes it's hard for us to let ourselves relax. We can get caught up in getting everything done, checking things off our to-do lists. And so Yin Yoga offers us the chance to allow ourselves that time to relax, to just slow down and be still. To transition out of this reclined child's pose, ground your feet onto the mat, and then reach for your block. And on the low or the medium setting, press into your feet and lift your hips up and place the block right underneath your sacrum or your tailbone. This is your reclined bridge position. So if you'd like to stay here, you're more than welcome to. But another variation to make this a little bit more challenging and maybe go a little bit deeper is to walk your feet out any amount. The closer you get to straightening your legs completely, the deeper this will be. So choose whichever position of your legs you'd like. And we'll hold our reclined bridge position for another 5 minutes. And if you need to play around with the block underneath your lower back, do so. And you can just let your arms relax at your sides. Again, gently tucking your shoulder blades in towards one another. And encouraging them to come down your back if they have the tendency to scrunch up near your ears. Start to bring your awareness back towards your breath. And take a few deep breaths in and out here. And then we'll slowly start to transition to our next pose by pressing into the feet and lifting up your hips and removing the block. And then coming back down onto your mat. Move your block out of the way a little bit. We're going to come into a lying spinal twist. So bring both of your knees back into your chest again. You can give yourself some movement here if that feels nice. And then come back to center. And I'd like you to take both of your knees towards the left side of your mat while keeping your right shoulder as grounded as possible. And then bring your arms into cactus arms, or if you have the space, you can come out into a T. So to make this spinal twist a little bit more challenging, you can cross your right leg over your left and then bring your knees down. To make it a little bit less challenging, you can take a block and place it underneath your knees. So choose whichever variation feels good for you today. And then come back into stillness, into this nice spinal twist to really release those lower vertebrae. So your top leg can relax more. That's good. We have just about 1 minute left in this pose. On your next inhale, let's come back to center. Uncross your legs if you cross them. Bring your knees back into your chest. And let's bring our knees down towards the right side of our mat to even it out. Again, you can bring your arms into cactus arms or out in a T. The higher that you keep your knees, the more challenging this twist will be. And as I mentioned before, if you cross your legs, that also adds a deeper stretch. So choose whichever twist feels good for you today and come back into stillness, back inward towards your body. On your next inhale, come back to center. And we'll move into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Let your legs stretch out long and your arms stretch out next to the sides of your body, your palms facing up, and relaxing into this pose, letting everything go. And I'd like you to come back to the body scan that we did at the beginning of class and check in with those places of your body that had that tension or were maybe feeling a little bit off, a little bit tight. And just do another check-in and see where those areas are now. Notice if there's any changes, positive or negative. And in Shavasana, again, encourage those areas with your breath and the suggestion of the mind to relax even deeper. And stay in Shavasana. I'm just going to play some music for you. Start to bring some movement back into your body. Gently wiggle your toes and your fingers. Start to bring your awareness back towards your breath. Take a few deep inhales and relaxing exhales. And when you're ready, turn over to one side and look down, press into the mat, and slowly come back up into a seated position. Taking your time, no need to rush. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you found that relaxing and rejuvenating. And thank you so much for spending your Sunday evening with me.